Hello YouTube and welcome to an all new Elder Scrolls lore video. This time on the holidays of Tamriel. It's a topic that has often been requested by people that watch this channel. I wanted to save it for like a holiday special, but you know, no time like the present. So let's talk about Tamriel's holidays. So, holidays. There are many different holidays celebrated around Tamriel, many of which have no other lore about them other than on this day the villagers of Village X celebrate a dragon eating their naughty children. Which really exists, by the way. It's called the Day of Waiting, and it's on the 9th of First Seed in villages of the Dragontail Mountains. And they're believed that some dragon will come and eat the worst people of the village on that day, so everybody locks themselves in their houses. So yeah. Interesting. It's an interesting little tidbit, but it really has no lore substance. So for those small holidays, I will only cover the most interesting ones. So the dragon eating things, but no, on this day the children of this village pick flowers. Not in my lore video. So that said, let's start with the beginning of the year. The very first day of the year on the 1st of Morningstar, which is the 1st of January in our world, which is the New Life Festival. On this day, the people of Tamriel celebrate the coming of a new year after the passing, or in some sources called the literal death, of the old year. This festival is paired up with another festival, which is the Old Life Festival, which takes place on the 31st of Evening Star, or our 31st of December. Together, these festivals form the Old and New Year celebrations around Tamriel. Celebrations start on the Old Life Festival, which isn't really a happy celebration, but it's a day of reflection upon the past, with the tradition being that on this day there will be a solemn remembrance of loved ones which have passed away, with the legend going that on this day loved ones that reside in Aetherius may actually answer the call in some way when one leaves a message to them at a shrine. Curiously, in some regions of Tamriel on this day, the laws against necromancy are temporarily lifted, and it seems that it's legal to try and resurrect recently deceased corpses. It's pretty gross to think about, and it does not seem to be a widespread custom, at least not anymore in the late 3rd era and in the 4th era, and also not in the 2nd era during the Elder Scrolls Online, at least from what I can tell. It's a pretty grim holiday in stark contrast to the New Life Festival, which comes in the form of an actual celebration with actual feasts and parties, celebrating Magnus, the deity who created the sun in the Elder Scrolls universe by ripping a large hole in Mundus. Starting his journey to days becoming longer again and celebrating a new life being born all across Tamriel. Actual celebrations and the length of the celebrations vary per region. For example, most of the Empire they celebrate the New Life Festival only on the first day of the new year, but in some places, like in High Rock, they add a second day, which they call Scour Day, which used to be about cleaning up the festival's trash, but then turned into its own celebration, meaning that there the New Life festivities essentially take 2 days. Now, both the New Life and the Old Life Festival have found their ways into Elder Scrolls Online and the Elder Scrolls Blades as seasonal events, usually just coming in the form of XP bonuses and festive microtransactions, sometimes with small quests linked to it or in-game rewards. But other than in those games, the festival hasn't been seen in the Elder Scrolls games since Daggerfall, which isn't too weird as that is the game which introduced the vast majority of all these holidays that I'm talking about today, as none of them have really been used except in the live service games. Anyway, in addition to the New and Old Life festivals, the Red Guards have their own tradition near the beginning of the year between the 14th and 15th of Morningstar, so again January for us, which is called Of Anka, or Ovanka. I don't really know how to pronounce Red Guard words. It's a day of prayer to Stendarr, where they pray for a prosperous and, more importantly, merciful year ahead. Now, having talked about the start of the year, let's skip to Sun's Dawn, or as we call it, February. There are a ton of minor holidays in there, which among other things, for example, remember certain battles of the past, like the Battle of Glonumbra Moors in what's called the Day of Release in High Rock's Glonumbra region, or the Feet of the Dead, where in Windhelm, Ysgramor and his 500 companions are remembered and their names are recited. But my favorite holiday by far of this month is the Day of Mad Pelagius, on the 2nd of Sun's Dawn, On this day, parties are held across High Rock, and the Bretons remember the Mad Emperor Pelagius Septim III on Sheogorda's summoning day, and they have parties in the Mad Emperor's honor. I don't know, it's pretty funny. Now, the major holiday of Sun's Dawn is held on Sun's Dawn the 16th, or February 16th for us, which is Heart's Day, which is a day where the love of the legendary lovers Polydor and Eloisa is celebrated in honor of the loving couples all around Tamriel. The celebrations go paired with specific heart-shaped pastries like sweet rolls, of which the Elder Scrolls Legends gave us an example, as you can see on the screen. And in this day, in some cities, rooms in inns and taverns are being rented out for free to visitors in celebration of the ancient lovers. And no, before you ask, we don't know the story of Polydor and Eloisa, unfortunately, but someone on Reddit did a decent Apocrypha post on it, so essentially a fanfiction of the story, which I can recommend you to read if you want it, but remember, it's thought up by a fan, it's not actual lore. It's in the description of this video. Anyway, Heart's Day also found its way into the live service game, so the Elder Scrolls Online and Blades, with both selling love-themed furniture in their stores on that day. So, with that behind us, let's talk about First Seed, or March, as it's called in our universe. This is the month where my highlighted minor holiday is the Day of Waiting. Remember from the beginning of the video with the dragon eating the mad people? Yeah, that one. First Seed also has the Festival of Blades, celebrating by the Redguards, who celebrate the Redguards' victory over mystical gigantic goblins with big feasts. Although the actual historical foundation of that is kinda doubtful. Anyway, the main holiday of First Seed is First Planting. It's basically what it sounds like, a celebration of the first sowing of seeds of the year on the 7th of First Seed. It's seen to the people of Tamriel as a day of new beginnings, where family disputes are settled, new resolutions are formed, and diseases are cured by healers at temples for free, and people attempt to drop their bad habits. Now, the next month is Rain's Hand, or April in our world, and it has 3 interesting holidays. To me, the most interesting one is the Day of Shame, which is held along Hammerfell's coast on the 20th of Rain's Hand, to commemorate the fact that the people of Hammerfell turned down sick Kothringi refugees during the Knothan flu epidemic. And this ship that they were on was called the Crimson Ship and was turned down at every port, so the people on the ship eventually died of the Knothan flu. If you want to know more about the Kothringi, which are a metallic-skinned race of humans, or the Knothan flu disease, I made videos on both. They're both in the description and in the eye icon, so watch those if you want to know more about those subjects. Now, other than the Day of Shame, we have another highlight, which is the Day of the Dead on the 20th of Rain's Hand, which is a day in which the people of Daggerfall say that the dead may rise to take revenge upon the living. But other than that, we don't really have much more lore on that. What we do have more lore on is the Jester Festival on the 28th, which is again present in the Elder Scrolls Online and I believe also in the Elder Scrolls Blades. On this day, the people of Tamriel celebrate the weirdness and the foolishness of the world, with jesters and street performers parading around cities and pulling pranks and weird games on the population. Because everybody is so distracted by these weird games, it's one of the favorite holidays for thieves, as they are the ones taking advantage on the population by pickpocketing everyone while they're participating in weird pranks. Now, what is interesting about this holiday is that it's unclear when or why it started. My personal favorite in-universe theory, so by in-universe scholars, is that it started as an elvish holiday, as the races of elves mimicked and mocked the races of men, which they, well, at first thought to be weird. There are also theories of Sheogorath started it, and Ysgramor maybe even started it, or even the invention of alcohol itself started it. Those are all in-universe theories, by the way, so the things that people and the scholars of Tamriel themselves speculate in the universe. Because in the universe it's also unclear where this holiday started. Now, Second Seed, or May in our universe, is a bit of a barren month, with the only real highlight of the minor holidays being the Fire Festival in the city of Northmoor in High Rock, which is held on the 20th of Second Seed, where people from all around Tamriel come to Northmoor to attend the festival. This festival is a display of magic by powerful mages to the population. It started as some sort of magical conference of sorts with high mages who just showed off to each other, but eventually it turned into a public display. If I had to compare it to anything in our world, it probably compares to like a fireworks show, but it's pretty cool. Now, the main event of the Second Seed is Second Planting on the 7th of the month. Which is a celebration of the second sowing of seeds of the year. People celebrate the improvements in life, symbolized by the improving of the second sowing over the first. And once again, temple healers will heal people's diseases for free on this day, unless it's a wound resulting from combat, as violence is especially frowned upon on this day. Alright, onward to mid-year, or June in our universe, which has on the 23rd as its most interesting minor holiday, Dancing Day, where the population of Daggerfall, well, the people of Daggerfall just dance. That's it. That's all we got. And we've got the MidYear Celebration on MidYear 16th, where the people of Tamriel celebrate the halfway point of the year. This celebration is held to basically just distract the people of the Empire from the mid-year tax increases of the Emperor. It's a day where people visit temples for blessings of the gods, with priests giving discounts on their services and with elaborate festivals held in the city of the Empire. An interesting tidbit is that in the book, which the festival is described, shows how people get far too overconfident due to the blessings of the gods that they get during the festival at a discount, meaning that it often ends badly for people as they think that they're basically invincible due to the blessings. Now, next we also have the Pelennor Mid-Year Massacre, often also called Mid-Year Mayhem in the Elder Scrolls Online, which is an Elder Scrolls Online holiday celebrating Pelennor Whitestrake's battles against the Aelids. It goes accompanied with a PvP event in Cyrodiil and in the Elder Scrolls Online, and it gives in-game rewards, and often also has Crown Store microtransactions to go along with it. So yeah. On to July, or as they call it in the Elder Scrolls universe, Sun's Height. On the 10th of Sun's Height, you've got the Merchants Festival. All around Tamriel, shops offer large discounts, with the people of the continent often waiting especially for this day to make their expensive purchases. Of all the festivals to be placed in the Elder Scrolls Online or in the Elder Scrolls Blades, just please do this one. I calculated it once, and sometimes you have to pay like $60 or $70 for an Elder Scrolls Online house. Like, that's far too expensive. I mean, even 30 would be far too expensive for a digital house, but yeah, probably not gonna happen. Bethesda would probably like us to forget about this specific holiday. Anyway, there's also Sun's Rest, which is an event on the 20th of Sun's Height, where the shops are all closed and people take time to relax. It's basically one big continental off day, and people just tend to relax and just loaf around. We also have the Fiery Night, which is on the 29th of Sun's Height, which is the hottest day of the year in Hammerfell's desert regions, and features dancing and feasting after the sun goes down, so after the temperature gets a bit normal again. Okay, on to Lost Seed, which is August for us, with the illustrious Harvest End Festival on the 27th of the month. It's a celebration of the harvest, essentially, and of food in general, with farmers bringing the best of their harvest to the cities, and the taverns in the cities offering free drinks to all. It's a day where even the poor get to gorge themselves, which usually results in many people overeating on this day. Also, curiously enough, it's the day that Uriel Septim VII got assassinated, so the beginning of the Oblivion Crisis, so the beginning of the Elder Scrolls for Oblivion. That was on Harvest End Festival. Pretty interesting. Other than the Harvest End Festival, there are no real interesting holidays, other than some local celebrations and some local hero celebrations and local harvest customs, so therefore we immediately go to Heartfire, which is September in our world, where the highlight of the minor holidays is Children's Day, which is on the Isle of Bethany, which is here, south of Daggerfall, on the 19th of the month. Originally it started as a day to remember children who fell victim to some vampire, but now it's basically a holiday where children are celebrated and get treats. So a very sad holiday got to a very happy one over the years, as people basically forgot the tragedy. The only major holiday in this month of Heartfire is Tales and Talos on the 3rd of the month, which is basically a day where people believe that spirits will rise and the dead spirits will take over your body at night. Interestingly enough, the Mages Guild around the time of Daggerfall took this holiday and made it a holiday to celebrate necromancy, and they halved their prices of the guild stores. Cool. On October, or Frostfall, you've got, as highlight of the minor holidays, the Dirge Terror on Frostfall the 5th, where Frondar Hunding is honored by the Red Guards of Hammerfell. Again, I cannot pronounce Redguard words. There's also the Day of Broken Diamonds on the 23rd of Frostfall, where the death of Empress Kintura Septim II in captivity is remembered solemnly by the people of Tamriel. Her death was part of the War of the Red Diamond, which was a pretty complicated civil war within the Empire. I made a video on it as well, so look at that in the description if you want to know more. Now, we also have Emperor's Day, which is the birthday of Emperor Uriel Septim VII, on the 30th of Frostfall, which in the beginning used to be big celebrations, but eventually it turned to a solemn holiday when the Empire's economy staggered, and then Jaeger Tharn took over the Empire in the Imperial Simulacrum, and it was just no longer a very happy holiday. And then in the 4th era, it's most likely no longer celebrated as the Emperor was assassinated, and eventually the Great War started on this day. So yeah, it's probably a painful day that the Empire wouldn't want to celebrate in the modern era. Now, the major festival of this month is the Witches' Festival, Frostfall the 13th. It's a day where all around Tamriel the fears of the unnatural things like ghosts and evil spirits are ridiculed by wearing strange costumes. Children in costumes get treats, and if they ask an adult for that, so basically it's Halloween, as it's in our universe, as even pumpkins and hollowjack lanterns are a symbol of this festival. This holiday also found its way into the Elder Scrolls Online to sell furniture to the player base and to give XP boosts and items with some events every year. I have very fond memories of this event myself, as the double XP was an incentive for Mr. Christmas, who is the guy who carries me through ESO, because I can't play that game competently. He forced me to grind me to the level that he wanted me to be at in order to wear the correct gear that he had assembled for me. I spent 2 real days in Cracklorn while just complaining to him about my predicament, so yeah, I don't want to relive that trauma, so let's just get to the next month. So, the second to last month, which is Sun's Dusk, or November for us, it has the minor holiday highlight, the Moon Festival, on the 8th of the month. There really is no big lore on this holiday, basically just a local holiday around Glanumbra Moors where they honor the moon Secunda. I mean, it ain't much, but it really is the most interesting of the minor holidays here. Now, the major holiday on Sun's Dusk is the Warrior Festival on the 20th. It's a holiday celebrated all around Tamriel, and the highlight is that the weapon stores all around the continent drop their prices for just one day. So on this day, many aspiring young warriors usually get their first weapons with what they saved up over the year. This results in cities often being filled with sparring youth on that specific day, as everybody gets their first swords, and older warriors trying to get some gold by teaching them the way around the sword. It has also often become bloody in many cities, with the poor folk being able to afford weapons for once in a year and enacting their revenge for past crime on others, meaning that no Warrior's Day is complete without the local guard unit having a headache over the investigations of assault on the streets. Alright, last month, almost there, Evening Star, or December. I don't really have any interesting minor holidays this time for you, as there are only some small local things, and we have the Old Life Festival at the end of the month again, which we already talked about at the beginning of the video. But we haven't talked about the holiday of Saturalia on the 25th of the month, which is Tamriel's Christmas, as some people call it. As it's very similar, with trees even being decorated with ornaments and lights. And you know where this leads. Bethesda trying to sell some more decorations in the form of decorated trees in both the Elder Scrolls Online and Elder Scrolls Blades in the form of microtransactions. Anyway, back to the lore. It originally started as a holiday celebrating the Daedric Prince Sanguine as a day of debauchery, drinking and adult activities behind the curtain. But over the centuries it evolved into a day in which gifts are being given on parties to people that one hold dear. It is a sort of introduction to the old and new life festival for many, as from this day forward the people of Tamriel start to prepare for those holidays, so that they may be a good party at the end of the year. That said, we have now talked about the vast majority of Tamriel's holidays, or at least all of the interesting ones. Again, there are more of them, holidays where Village X congregates to pray for a good harvest, or pregnant goats, or whatever, but I didn't really see it all too necessary to talk about them, as there's quite a long list of holidays already, and 99% of these haven't been seen in any game since Daggerfall, since in Daggerfall it was like a game mechanic where local areas had local holidays. So yeah, that just had to do with the local towns that you could visit. So if you really want to know about those, I recommend looking them up online, as the only reason to really know about them is either you're writing a story about the local place, like if you're writing a fan fiction, in which case I really recommend not just taking my video for a source, or you want to play Daggerfall, in which case I'm not a guide, so yeah. Anyway, I do hope that you learned something today, and if you did, I hope you will consider returning for the next Elder Scrolls lore video, probably next week. But before I end this video, allow me to thank my top Patreon supporters, Mr. Bernardo Binda, Gabriel Binda, Polaris Putin, Athena Hiotis, King Chris, Bulge, Scribe of the Scrolls, Doji, Fenrir, Sword of Bushido, Zar Mikhail, and Mr. Christmas. It's thanks to these wonderful people and all the others on screen that this channel stays alive, and for that I'm very grateful. That said, I hope to see all of you in the next Elder Scrolls lore video. Bye bye.